The Trumps, we love them, right? And they've been on the international stage for decades. Did you notice? All those decades, everything was fine. Never investigated, accused of a crime. Politics changed all of that. Now they're under investigation left and right. It is harassment, clearly. And now the state attorney general in New York, her name is Letitia James. Now, we think she graduated from law school. With her, it's often hard to tell if she's a real lawyer or not. So she has successfully convinced a judge that the Trumps will have to testify before her. Put out a tweet just a short time ago, and it says this: "Today, a court ruled in our favor that Donald Trump must appear before my office as part of our investigation into his financial dealings." Goes on to say, "No one will be permitted to stand in the way of the pursuit of justice, no matter how powerful they are." Sounds so strong, right? Superwoman. This is all nonsense. This is not how lawyers speak. This is how crazy politicians with an agenda speak. And by the way, Mueller, Schiff, all those guys, if there was something, I mean really something to get on Trump, they would have gotten it by now. Letitia James, there's nothing there. But I don't think this is fair. And after you hear the way she speaks, before she even became an attorney general, the way she talked about the Trumps, this woman should not have power.
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your ass and vote.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally.
Running for attorney general because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake.
We need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. All of those transactions have happened here in New York City.
Incredibly prejudicial, wild, wrong. Did you hear? She called President Trump illegitimate while he was president. If you or I tried that on social media, if it said something about that of Biden, oh, they'd warn us. They'd kick us off of Twitter. Yeah, they really would. But if you're a Democrat, you get elected when you say that kind of stuff. She's silly. I don't think we have to really worry about much. This, however, is far more serious. The totalitarian atmosphere that is America, where we, Americans, have to watch what we say. No, I don't like that message. We've always had to kind of consider who might hear something and who might be offended. That happened long before cancel culture, long before smartphones. You may remember these guys, old TV dudes, and one politician, they said wildly offensive things. Tex Antoine said something horrible about sexual assault on TV. I think he was a weatherman. He couldn't come back the next day. Jimmy the Greek said something pretty nasty about monkeys and people. It was awful. And Governor Allen, remember the macaca moment? Really bad. And all before cell phones. So the community has always had standards, but now the community is crazy. I mean, really crazy. We've seen hints of this before. It's actually been in the works for decades. Shortly after 9/11, Ari Fleischer, he was the press secretary for George W. Bush. He tried it. It was pushed back, but he tried something that was pretty scary, actually.
The reminders to all Americans that they need to watch what they say, watch what they do, and this is not a time for remarks like that. There never is.
All Americans to watch what they say, watch what they do. Who the heck is this guy? What he was doing? Bill Maher made some dumb joke, and everybody was angry at Bill Maher. But people in power try to take it out on America, exploit moments like that. Americans have to watch what they do. Americans have to watch what they say. Now, back then, they were trying to exploit September 11th, 2001. Now, it didn't work, but the seeds were there. And now, far more successfully, they're exploiting events like January 6th, the killing of George Floyd in Minnesota, and even that crazy swimmer from Pennsylvania who used to be a boy. All right, these are the kinds of things they're trying to control our speech, the way we think, who gets elected, and who gets canceled. You could be famous like these guys. Cancel culture is real. You offend the left. Watch out. Famous, a lot to lose. You could lose it. And even if you're not famous, with not much to lose, you can lose that too. This whole thing about the Karens, it's really, really ugly. However, if you say something that the left likes, that the left secretly or even overtly supports, the internet will make room and plus and like and get it out there and juice the algorithms so you become a star, just as long as you make it as woke and crazy as possible, like this.
The goal of the transition closet is for our students to be able to wear the clothes that their parents approve of, come to school, and then swap out into the clothes that fit who they truly are. And I use the idea that this is like Superman changing in a phone booth. But that idea actually goes a lot further than that, because Superman isn't Clark Kent. Clark Kent is actually the disguise. And when Clark Kent goes into the phone booth, he transforms into Superman, who's really just who he truly is, Kal-El. And so this gives our trans students the opportunity to be the superheroes that we know they are.
Now, I think this weirdo should be able to say whatever the hell he wants into whatever camera he wants. Here's what should not happen. They're pushing this stuff on our children. That little superhero closet, whatever he called it, that exists. That's a thing. So many academics support this stuff. What is happening? Take a look at this.
They are not too young to lead this work, and they are not as attached to things as us adults are. Like, you talk to kids about gender fluidity, and they're ready. Talk to them about anti-racism, they're ready. And the more that we can empower them and educate them and make them comfortable with conversations that are hard for adults, the more we're all going to come along.
They're talking about indoctrination. By the way, anti-racism, watch out for that. It's different from not being racist. Nobody wants to be a racist. We don't like racism. But anti-racist is a whole weird ideology that, quite frankly, tries to make white people second-class citizens. And I don't know anybody, black or white, in my real life who wants to sign up for that stuff. Online, you see it all the time. Woo! You got to watch what you say. And you know what? I'm just not going to live my life that way. And a lot of you aren't going to do it either. Hey, by the way, it's easy to be a tough guy with your phone. These Americans are great. All across the country, at the school boards, especially Loudoun County. I mean, and all over the country, really. They're just amazing, amazing people. I'm in awe of them. They are our patriots. These are heroes. And do you remember that dad? This was in Loudoun County, who was there to stick up for his daughter who wanted to go to the bathroom alone and was assaulted by a trans person. It was just ugly. This image, it stayed with me. I think someday this will be iconic. This will be up there with Rosa Parks. This will be in a museum. It should be. It should be. Because, what did my friend Tatiana Ibrahim say? She's still correct about this country.
You work for me. I don't work for you. You have a duty. We are entrusting our children to you. We teach our children morals, values when they grow up to commit crimes and end up in prison and kill a police officer. It's our fault? No, it's your fault. You're emotionally abusing our children and mentally abusing them. You're demoralizing them by teaching them communist values. This is still America, ma'am.
I love it. This is still America, ma'am. You're damn right. And you know what? It's also still Canada. We're going to hear from two speakers. The first is a conservative member of the parliament up there. She has an eccentric haircut, but she is a conservative, and I think you'll like her.
Optimistic, hopeful vision for public life isn't a naive dream. It could be a powerful force for change. If Canadians are to trust their government needs to trust Canadians. Those are the words of the Prime Minister in 2015. These people, very often misogynistic, racist, women haters, science deniers, the fringe. Same Prime Minister 6 years later as he fans the flames of an unjustified national emergency. So, Mr. Speaker, when did the Prime Minister lose his way? When did it happen?
You're right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Fabulous, right? Well, Justin Trudeau was standing right there. Watch.
Conservative Party members can stand with people who wave swastikas. They can stand with people who wave the Confederate flag. We will choose to stand with Canadians who deserve to be able to get to their jobs, who be able to get their lives back. These illegal protests need to stop, and they will, Mr. Speaker.
Liberals accusing their opponents of being Nazis. Oh, they go to that all the time, don't they? But they were messing with the wrong woman.
I am a strong Jewish woman and a member of this House and a descendant of Holocaust survivors, and I have never it's never been singled out, and I have never been made to feel less, except for today when the Prime Minister accused me of standing with swastikas. I think he owes me an apology. I'd like an apology, and I think he owes an apology to all members of this House.
The moment liberals start losing an argument, they call racism. They say their opponents are Nazis. They do it all the time. Sorry she went through that. Happens in America. Happens, as you know, all the time. But this is just like that, actually. Governor Murphy of New Jersey. A couple of months ago, he was in a very close race for re-election. Even though the media didn't cover it that way, they said Murphy was going to win by 20 points. He barely won. Barely. And at this point, he knew that he could lose the race. So he was desperate. He was scared. And yeah, he said, those who oppose him are bigots.
We have to keep moving forward. We cannot go backward, and we cannot afford an extreme leader. There's so much on the ballot. There's so much at stake. Do we stand with our sacred democracy, or do we stand with Confederate flags and white supremacists and a pack of lies? Do we stand? Do we continue? Do we continue to make the tough? Do we continue to make the tough calls based on science and data to save as many lives as we can, or do we put lives at risk because we play politics? Do we stand up for women's reproductive freedoms?
So the crowd went crazy, understandably so. Offended, but that's what they do. The moment they start losing, you're a racist, you're a Nazi. It's absolutely disgusting, and it shows you really their ideas. No, if the ideas were solid, sound, they could defend them. Often they can't. Often they can't. Back to our friends in Canada. That convoy has brought out so much. So many people are revealing their true colors. Once again, from the Washington Post. They actually published this. The Washington Post said, what we're seeing, what the Ottawa trucker convoy is bringing on is, well, the notion of freedom was historically and remains intertwined with whiteness, the belief that one's entitlement to freedom is a key component of white supremacy. No, one's entitlement to freedom is a key component to being a human being, to being God's children of God. Don't we agree? White supremacy, they're corrupting. They're trying to corrupt everything that was good, that is good. That brings me to the military, by the way. Military is in crisis, big time. We have a huge problem with a woke military. You know, their priority right now is not war fighting. It's diversity, equity, inclusion, all this stuff. I would have to think long and hard. You know, I served in the military for 9 years, active duty, and 12 in the reserves after that. Somebody asked me, should I go into the military? Number one, I never tried to talk anybody into the military, but certainly wouldn't talk anybody out of it. It was fantastic at the time in the 1990s. I enjoyed it. I learned so much and got to serve my country. Right now, could I tell somebody, recommend that somebody join the military of this country at this time with this president, Joe Biden, falling asleep, being incredibly weak at one press conference and trying to show he's tough by ordering thousands of troops around Europe? I wouldn't be signing up for that. And if you have a loved one, I don't know if they should be either. Let's stay tuned.